This video is intended to provide a comprehensive training regimen for installation of Amaron International's Dualoy rigid fiberglass piping systems for underground transfer of flammable liquids. Dualoy products are available in single-wall and size-over-size systems made from Dualoy 3000L pipe and fittings and in a coaxial double-wall system named Dualoy 3000 LCX. LCX is unique and patented under U.S. Patent 6026862 and others. As you will see in this video, both pipe systems are very versatile and can be configured to meet almost any piping need. The LCX system will typically be able to do this with fewer parts and connections. This system has proven itself to save from 20% on small jobs to 50% on larger ones of the cost of labor and is a significant time saver in completing the system. All Dualoy products are listed by Underwriters Laboratories for use with motor vehicle fuels, high blend fuels including E85, concentrated fuels, and aviation and marine fuels. Piping can be used for vapor recovery, normal vent, primary containment, secondary containment, and integral primary-secondary according to UL nomenclature. Additionally, Dualoy systems can be used with vacuum, pressure, and hydrostatic containment monitoring systems. Amaron has developed a novel patent-pending pressurized hydrostatic monitoring system. The monitoring systems are not included in this instructional video, but information on them can be obtained from your local distributor, manufacturer's representative, or from the Amaron website, www.dualoy-fuelhandling.com. In a typical site, trenching is complete, pipe supports have been set to grade in the trenches, tanks, sumps, and island forms are complete, and the site is ready for piping to be installed before it is unloaded at the site. Dualoy pipe is typically supplied in 20-foot standard lengths, but it is also available in 30-foot standard lengths or any custom length up to 42 feet. Primary pipe is supplied with tapered ends. 3000L containment pipe is supplied square cut. LCX pipe is supplied with each end having the jacket cut back to the correct length for standard installation and the primary pipe end tapered. The first step when your pipe arrives on the job is to inspect each length for damage, both to the pipe wall and to the ends. Look for gouges, deep scratches, or discolored areas on the pipe wall that may indicate damage to the pipe and a potential for a leak. Impact damage can occur in transport or by mishandling on site, so it is important to handle and store the pipe with reasonable care. We will demonstrate in a few minutes how this kind of damage can be repaired. Check the fittings on the site for the correct number of each type: 90s, 45s, Ts, couplings, and termination sleeves, etc. Fittings are supplied in boxed quantities to the distributor and may still be in the unopened box at the site. Containment fittings for both the 3000L and LCX systems have propeller nuts installed in one of the two-piece clamshell fitting halves. This allows the fitting to be installed by working only from one side. This is very helpful in fittings installed inside sumps where access may be restricted and there is limited room to work. Before we begin, a word about safety. Be sure you read and understand the safety precautions that are packed with your tools, the instructions packed in the adhesive kits, and the installation manuals. Bulletin 7501 applies to single-wall systems of Dualoy 3000L. Bulletin 8702 for size-over-size contained systems of 3000L, and Bulletin 9903 for LCX systems. Each of these fully describes the installation procedure and should be referred to as you work. These instructions are important to your health and safety and should not be overlooked. These safety procedures and equipment should be considered in addition to your company's policies and procedures, not a substitute for them. Tools needed for installation include a chop saw or hacksaw for cutting the pipe and a tapering tool. Refer to the product literature for the types of tapering tools available, either manual or powered. If installing the Dualoy 3000 LCX system, in addition, a jacket cutting tool will be needed, along with a pocket knife or box cutter. For installing Dualoy rigid sump penetration fittings, a 4.5-inch diameter hole saw is also needed. For either type of containment system, a nut driver is also recommended for tightening the bolts during the assembly of the containment clamshell fittings. When rigid sump penetration fittings are used, the layout of the piping system begins at each sump. Pipe needs to go into and come out of these fittings straight, so adjustments in length need to be made between the sumps rather than at the sump. This is easily done, but it is a different approach that has been the case with flexible sump penetration fittings, which allowed angular entry into the sump if alignment was not correct. Flexible entry boots have been the source of many system leaks, typically of groundwater into the sump, and have typically been replaced with rigid fiberglass fittings or with much less flexible plastic fittings with better life expectancies. Amaron rigid sump penetration fittings are available in two types. The standard fittings can be described as a pass-through fitting where the primary pipe goes through the fitting without any direct connection to it. This fitting is normally used on installations where the layout is done in a series pattern, with the pipe coming in one side of the sump and out through the other. It can be used when the pipe enters the dispenser sump and connects to the dispenser, but requires additional length to close the containment system, room that is not usually available in the crowded sump cavity. Sump penetration fittings also come equipped with a factory-assembled internal coupling, sealed on the end toward the inside of the sump. This fitting is used when the pipe terminates in the sump, either at the last dispenser of a series system or in all sumps with a system configured in the parallel pattern. These fittings are all equipped with two ports, one for testing installed in the up position and one for draining in the down position. The pass-through style fittings typically do not have the ports included, but they are available as an option. Dualoy sump penetration fittings are assembled by placing the fitting body through a hole cut in the sump wall when tightening a nut against the flange on the body and a loose flange ring next to the nut. This allows the fitting to be installed during the dry fitting of the pipe system, then removed when all components are ready for final assembling and bonding. The location of each of the sump penetration fittings will need to be determined prior to piping assembly. Installation requirements of most jurisdictions require that all piping, product, vent, and vapor recovery be sloped 1/8 inch per foot from the most remote dispenser to the tank. This requirement is often ignored for product piping that is also pressurized, but beware that the site is subject to rejection by the inspector if this is not done. The ability to slope pipe is a significant advantage of rigid fiberglass over flexible systems, where consistent sloping is difficult, if not impossible. Survey equipment or other height measuring devices can be used to properly locate the sump penetration fittings to affect the slope on the pipe. Beginning at each sump penetration fitting, measure and cut the pipe to dry fit it according to the system layout. Measure and cut each length, allowing for 1 1/2 inch pipe insertion into each fitting. Taper and dry fit your connections. For 2-inch pipe, for example, if the faces of the two fittings will be located in dispenser sumps 31 feet 6 inches apart, cut the pipe that will run between these fittings to 31 feet 9 inches, allowing for that 1.5 inch taper insertion to each end. The availability of Dualoy piping in long lengths eliminates the need and cost of joints between the sumps. Mark the pipe to length where you will cut it. If you are using a chop saw with an abrasive disc, a wax pencil or China marker can be used to mark the cut. If you are using a hacksaw, it is a good idea to wrap the pipe with a plumber's wrap and mark it all the way around, as the angle of the fiberglass on the pipe surface will give you a tricky optical illusion that you are cutting square when in fact you can be off at a considerable angle. It is important that your cuts be square within 3/16 of an inch when you cut to properly seat in the connection. If you are using a pipe vise, be sure to wrap the pipe in a 1/4 inch rubber pad to protect it from damage from the chain or jaws. When the pipe has been cut, dress up the inside edges by scraping with your pocket knife to remove burrs or loose flags of liner material. When using LCX pipe, it is now also time to strip back the jacket layer. A jacket stripping tool is used to remove a length from the secondary containment jacket. 2-inch LCX pipe requires the jacket be stripped back 2 3/4 inches. For a normal connection, as seen with the ends supplied from the factory, the pin stop will allow the cutting wheel to move only 2 3/4 inches on the pipe. For other pipe diameters, refer to Bulletin 9903 for proper jacket cut length for standard ends. For pipe ends where the pipe will end and a termination sleeve will be used to seal off the containment layer, a pin stop should be removed from the jacket cutter and the jacket removed to the full depth of the tool, 4.5 inches. Note, do not cut the full depth of the tool for standard joints that are not termination ends of the pipe. Too much jacket will be removed and the containment clamshell will not connect to the jacket. Also, do not try to install a termination sleeve or other fitting on the end of the pipe cut with a standard jacket cut. Insufficient room will be left on the jacket cut to properly seat the termination fitting. To make the jacket cut, connect a compressed air supply to the tool. Insert the 3 guide rods into the pipe and start the grinder wheel. The top rod remains fixed for all pipe sizes. There are 2 other rods that can be located in an adjacent pair of holes for each size. 2 sets, 4 rods total, are supplied with the tool to allow 2 sizes to be jacket cut without requiring the rods to be moved. Start your first cut by making a short groove in the jacket and check for the proper cutting depth. The correct setting will reveal most of the layer of tape used on top of the interstitial layer of glass beads. Cutting too shallow, only partway through the jacket, will make it difficult to cut through the remaining fibers and remove the jacket. Cutting too deep will cause the primary pipe to be cut by the jacket cutter. It can also cause premature wear of the diamond grit on the grinding wheel due to the beads rolling against the wheel. Depth adjustments may be made by turning the adjustment nuts below the air motor. With the correct cutting depth set, push the tool onto the pipe until the end of the pipe reaches the pin stop. This will cut a longitudinal groove into the outer jacket of the tape with a few fibers showing at the bottom of the groove. Now, rotate the pipe or the tool, whichever is more convenient. 360 degrees to cut around the circumference of the pipe. When the tool returns to the starting point, remove the tool from the pipe by pulling it off the guide rods, allowing the grinder to track back along the same longitudinal groove made before. Carefully cut away any remaining glass strands with a utility knife and twist off the secondary jacket by hand. Wipe or brush away any dust or loose beads or material. You should have a clean, square shoulder on both the primary and secondary containment pipe. The ends of the primary pipe are now ready to be tapered for both the 3000L or the 3000 LCX systems. A 2-inch pipe will require a 1 3/4 degree taper, 1 1/2 inches in length. Set your taper tool to produce this taper using a factory taper as a guide. If your settings are correct, the finished taper should look like the factory tapered pipe. A good check for proper fit can be done by inserting a field-tapered pipe end into a fitting bell and check for rocking. If this occurs, the taper angle needs adjusting, usually to a shallower angle. This concludes our review of the installation and the tools you will be using to complete it. To continue this demonstration with a dry fit of the piping, select Chapter 2 from the menu.